Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the Traffic Commission hearing of April 20th to order. Could you please join me in a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have one item on the agenda tonight. It's concerning the presentation by HYM for the traffic changes along the Winthrop Ave corridor. One of the things I wanted to mention before we get started, there seems to have been a little bit of a discrepancy. One of the things that was supposed to be discussed tonight was making Harris Street do not enter. And I know the neighborhood was very concerned about that. In the original advertisement that was sent out, that for some reason seems to have dropped off and isn't in there. So we would not be able to act on that tonight because the residents did not get fair warning. And I had promised some of the residents that when this issue came up, I would do a robocall to that area because there is a lot of concern and confusion over that one item. But we can certainly listen to the presentation and we can act on, if we choose, on the rest of the proposed changes. And we'll have to move that particular item to next month and discuss that at the May meeting. All right, so HYM, please. You can get started.
Hi, I'm Mike Borowski with the HYM Investment Group. I oversee the Suffolk Downs redevelopment. So we're here today to talk about several intersections that have been contemplated over a number of years, improvements along the Winthrop Avenue corridor from Donnelly Square up through Harris Street, although we're not going to address Harris Street tonight as discussed. So these improvements come as a result of a very long, detailed review process with the City of Revere, with the state agencies, MIPA and MassDOT, MBTA, DCR, and also with the City of Boston for some intersections that are within that jurisdiction. We're not obviously going to talk about those tonight. So we did preview some of these last time with the presentation. We have an updated presentation tonight, which really has a lot of the same information, but really just to review, what we're going to review is the items that are really under the purview of the Revere Traffic Commission for the public hearing, and then there's additional improvements that we're making within along the Winthrop Avenue corridor, which are really not Revere Traffic Commission items, but we still wanted to reference just so that the Commission's aware and the public's aware of some of the other improvements we're making. So I'm here tonight with Ian McKinley from Howard Stein Hudson, our traffic engineer, and then I'll let Ian walk through all the improvements. So, actually, before we do that, I'll just, as an overview, so you can see the overview slide, our site is outlined or is colored in blue. So that's the outline of the Suffolk Downs redevelopment site. And the areas in red, that just shows all of the areas where traffic improvements will be made. So you can see it starts on the right of the screen on the east side, Donnelly Square, running up Winthrop Avenue as it turns into Revere Beach Parkway in front of the Public Safety Building, where there will be some improvements we'll talk about. We're also making an improvement at Railroad Street in 1A. Then there's Harris Street, and then also you can see to the top left at the Revere High School, we are installing a crosswalk as an early action item. So I'll hand it over now to Ian McKinley to walk through more details.
Thanks, Mike. So Ian McKinnon from Howard Stein Hudson to go over a couple things tonight. And so I just wanted to set the stage. There's a series of 62 off-site improvements that are proposed as part of the multi-phase mitigation package that was arrived to through a MIPA process and an extensive Mass DOT, MBTA, DCR, and City of Revere coordination process. So tonight, We're talking about a couple of those locations, but 9 of them preliminarily along Winthrop Avenue, along the north side of the front, of the site, which is the area of the first stage of development, are plans for significant traffic mitigation, utility infrastructure improvements, and improvements to transit and other things that will greatly benefit the community at large. So I wanted to talk about a couple of those things, and Mike mentioned there's some of them that are just informational only. They're not traffic commission agenda items, but we really feel strongly about sharing, talking about them. The first among them is the fire station improvements. The public safety building along Revere Beach Parkway is getting a series of improvements to reduce response time and provide for much needed circulation. So at the existing curb cut, we're going to actually put a break in the median, which will allow trucks for the first time, or any first responders, to go west on Revere Beach Parkway very easily. There'll also be a traffic light installed here with a switch within the fire department that will allow all traffic in all directions to be stopped. And it'll also flush out any existing traffic between this intersection and the North Shore Road intersection so that they have the quickest response time possible. So we view this as a huge benefit in response time. And then for the first time ever on the return journey for public safety, they'll actually be able to come back in directly into the site through this curb cut or the median break. We're also going to shift the driveway itself over directly in front of the fire truck bays, which will much improve the on-site truck maneuverability and allow the big ladder truck to actually drive right directly into the bays, which we believe is also a huge improvement. There's also a series of sidewalk improvements, and another traffic mitigation item here is an extended left turn into North Shore Road. So we understand that that is another item to mitigate some of the traffic in the area. The next place I wanted to talk about is along Route 60. And this plan that you can see in front of you is actually rotated right. North is to the right, and this is Route 60, American Legion Highway, just east of Revere High School. And so we understand there was a call from the community to put in a safe crossing for our students. And so what we've done here is provided a new sidewalk connection that ties directly into the high school path, right below the fields that you see there, the athletic fields, to cross directly across Route 1A to get to the Shirley Ave neighborhood. And so with this improvement, there'll be new sidewalks and a break in the fence that goes down the median today, some new pavement markings that will bring attention to the crossing, and a full signal that will stop traffic in each direction. The other thing that will happen here is there's some geometric changes, some new curbing that will reinforce Harris Street as a one-way out so that you can take that right. Today it's going, as you're heading southbound, it looks like you can easily slip up the street up to Harris Street, and so this formalizes that into a safer condition and creates a shorter crossing. So the next location, and this is new from last time, but we did want to talk about it since it is in the relative vicinity of the site in Route 1A and the Winthrop Avenue corridor. This is the Route 1A merge at Railroad Street. So this is Route 1A southbound, just south of Revere Beach Parkway. Today, this is a very unsafe merge. We understand it's very short and it doesn't meet any of today's standards. So what we've done with this is we've created a longer acceleration lane that gives vehicles that are on the on-ramp merging with southbound traffic an opportunity to pick up speed and merge safely. Roughly in front of the Hampton Inn's, probably about 300 feet longer than it is today. So you'll be able to get up to speed, be at a level playing field, because today vehicles that are coming down, they're at a different angle, and it's very hard to see up the ramp or up the downslope. So there's also a splitter island and sort of a median that's installed on the Railroad Street approach, and that'll also create some safety improvements for anybody that's walking up and down Route 1A. Another informational items as part of the master planning of Suffolk Downs, there's a series of paths and interconnectivity. Chief among them is a number of bike paths that will connect some of the amenities of Suffolk Downs to the transit hubs that Revere has as well. And so there's a number of new bicycle facilities that are being proposed, largely on private property, but some on public property, And as part of the first phase, Winthrop Avenue will actually get a full-length shared-use path. And that's being installed as part of the promenade. The entirety of Winthrop Avenue is getting a new look in terms of a new promenade with new lighting, new landscaping, new street trees that will really enliven Winthrop Avenue. And so for this first phase, there's over 620 feet of that bike facility that will be installed. There's also a short amount on Bennington Street outside of Donnelly Square that is needed for the much-needed connection between the Mary Ellen Welch Greenway that extends from East Boston all the way up to Revere Beach Parkway, or will someday, and is part of that critical juncture that this project is completing. The first action item on the agenda that we wanted to talk about tonight is the Crescent Avenue geometry changes. So we've got a little bit more information here tonight to talk about this, but generally this is a much-needed safety improvement to regularize flow just south of Donnelly Square. So today, Crescent Avenue just has a slip lane that kind of merges in right at the intersection. It's very unsafe, it's hard to maneuver, people cut in front of each other. And so what this change does is it formalizes Crescent Avenue into a 90-degree intersection that's set back from the intersection. And that has a couple benefits, and that's what's explained on this slide. So today, which is the existing condition, on the left you see here that people kind of just slide right in. They may or may not be able to merge in because there's a queue of cars on the northbound approach. There's also nothing stopping anybody on the west side of the street from taking left side of the Dunkin' Donuts or the other businesses that are on the west side of Bennington. So what this does is allows, and the right is the proposed condition, what we hope to do in the future, which is to close that slip lane and connect directly a little bit further back. And what this allows you to do is jump to the back of the line safely. It also allows you to easier access to the left-hand lane if you are heading westbound on Winthrop Avenue. And there's also a median proposed down the middle between the northbound and southbound, leaving the intersection. So that will enforce the right in, right out only. And so you can no longer take that left and head up north. So that should, all of these improvements together will allow for sort of a more regularized, more predictive flow. And so with that space that's recovered, we plan to put a public open space. It'll also allow for much safer and shorter crossings. We understand this is just to the north of the Beachmont Elementary School, so very important for all the people that are on foot in this area. And there's some other improvements planned here involving an upgraded traffic signal, new sidewalks, and all of this while balancing and keeping the same number of traffic lanes. So we do not expect any changes to the traffic flows outside of sort of the realignment of Crescent Avenue. All of the residences will have all of their access preserved, and there's no change in parking. The next set of improvements is just to the west of the Blue Line train tracks and west of Donnelly Square, and these are the Winthrop Avenue bus stops. So there's two changes proposed here that's part of the transit improvements. We heard very strongly from the community that there's a stop that stops right directly in front of the station and oftentimes is blocking traffic entering into Beachmont, or the Beachmont station, outside the Beachmont station into Donnelly Square, that eastbound lane, that right turn lane. And so what we've done here is actually shift that stop just to the other side of Washburn, and it'll be directly in front of the new development here and part of the sort of the front door, the gateway area. And with that, there'll be a new shelter, a new sidewalks, and there will also be a way to actually overcome or pass the bus if it's sitting there waiting. In the outbound direction, sort of the other side of the street on the Beachmont commuter rail parking lot side, we proposed a bus layover area or pull-off. And that is sized for about 2 full buses that will give the flexibility for any buses that lay over, that are waiting for a Blue Line train to come into the station, or just picking up or discharging passengers to pull off, and anybody that's going east or west can continue to go unimpeded. So those are the 2 improvements for bus stops. And so those are extended bus stop lengths as well. They're longer than they are today. Just moving plan west, and this will be the last item we're going to talk about tonight, is the new traffic light. And so with some extensive coordination with the MBTA and the city of Revere, proposing a new traffic light along Winthrop Avenue. And so this formalizes a four-way intersection with the new Suffolk Downs Boulevard, which is the first phase primary driveway, and access to the commuter rail lot. This separates and creates a new traffic light that will allow for coordination along the corridor, which will allow for smoother traffic flows up and down. It'll also create a new way to cross the street, a new safe pedestrian crossing, so they'll have access to the commuter parking, or the commuter parking, the development as a whole, and any points to the north and northeast. There'll also be new ramps, and as I mentioned earlier, the extensive promenade feature that lines the entirety of Winthrop Avenue on the south side. So with that, I think we can open up to any questions you have.
Very good, thank you very much.
Yep.
So, this being a public hearing, are there any residents in the audience, or anyone in the audience, that wishes to speak in favor of either one of these items? Or have any, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Ira Novoselsky, 53 D. Hone Street, Ward 2, City Councilor. In general, I have no problem with a lot of these. I know we discussed Harris Street, but that's not in the books today. But there is one location I wanted to bring to attention to the traffic designers, and it's the sheet with Campbell Avenue across from the new fire station. That's a pretty wide sidewalk, crosswalk there. And that street originally was made for traffic to go northbound. That's why there's such a wide angle there. So my thoughts, and I've been looking to get this for many times, to reduce the size of the crosswalk and do a butt out there, right at that same, so the cars are forced to slow down, and a lot of cars go up Campbell Ave the wrong way because of that. You know, so I'm looking to reduce the size of the crosswalk, put a butt out at that angle, and I'll show it to you. I kind of showed it on my plan, and I'll show it to you, but that's what I'd like to see, a shorter crosswalk and cut out that angle for the turn so people can't go up Campbell Ave the wrong way. So other than that,
Okay.
you know, I think it's a good start, and I know it's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's something, you know, to look forward to in most cases.
Okay.
So, and we'll talk to HYM Traffic about
Okay,
what we want to do. But thank you very much.
thank you, Counselor. Anyone else wishing to speak? Counselor?
Joanne McKenna, Ward 1 Counselor. I got a couple of questions. When we're coming out, I have a big problem with the Crescent Ave closure, but I talked to Tom yesterday, and Tom said that if it doesn't work, he'll change it, and that's fine. But I was just wondering if you're going to coordinate the lights at the Beachmont School, so when the traffic does tie up on Crescent Ave, they'll be allowed to come out. You stop the traffic, they're allowed to come out. And then on Beachmont, and the square, you allow the lights to be green so people can get out of there. Is that going to happen? Do you know? Going to change the lighting so people can stop at the Beachmont School and then people can get out of Crescent Ave? And
I think are you referencing the traffic signal Everard or that's south?
Everard, yeah.
Which I believe is south of us. It's not,
Mhm.
we have to think about it's not currently within our limit of work. And it's not a signal that we, it's not, currently it's not a signal we control, so we have to take a look at how that ties into the rest of.
Well, because
Signal traffic, traffic signal improvements.
what happens is there's a bottleneck there, okay? So you're not going to, either, if you take that entrance out, if it's not coordinated, the lights aren't coordinated, you're still going to have a bottleneck there. And what happens is people can't go left, they can't go right because all this traffic is sitting there. So what you have to do is you have to coordinate the lights at the Everard School to stop them so people can get out of Crescent Ave, or we're going to have traffic all the way up Crescent Ave for people to come up. That's a big problem. right now, there's two ways to get out of there. I know it merges, but the people that live in Beachmont, they can get out of there, and they do merge. But the people that are going left to go to Boston, if traffic is there, then they can't get out. And it just, with one lane being closed, you're gonna have one lane here, so you can go left and right. If you don't do something with the traffic coming from East Boston, you're gonna have the same problem. So, and the other thing is too, is are we going to narrow Bennington Street down to one lane?
So that is a proposal that's, had nothing to do with us.
Okay, I know it's Mass DOT.
It's Mass DOT.
Yeah.
Which we didn't have a say in, and we found out late to the party. We did so, but, it is south of the work we're doing.
So the thing is that you have Mass DOT, you have the city that they want to put a berm around, to stop the flooding on Bennington Street, and then you have HYM, and all you guys are not talking to each other. So the city wants to do this, Mass DOT wants to do this, and Suffolk Downs HYM wants to do this. I think you guys all have to sit down at the table and coordinate what you're going to do, because all these plans are going all over the place, and there's not, this one has one plan, this one has another plan, this one has another plan. We need some solid evidence here, or some,
So there's a meeting, I think, which City Revere was invited to, it's next month, some folks from City Revere, related to the Bennington Street change, because we want to get up to speed on it.
I haven't heard about that.
We just heard about it recently.
Is it the May 16th one? Oh, okay, sorry, because I'm looking at them, and, so, is it the May 16th community meeting?
I don't think it's a.
Oh.
So I can speak on that a bit. Tom Skorowski, Chief of Planning Community Development for the city. So there's a meeting on May 16th to get to exactly what Councilor McKenna had mentioned in terms of the coordination needed. I think last time when the folks at MassDOT spoke to the city council, I think a lot of folks were caught unawares of the Bennington Street project and also the tie-ins with the berm that is still very much in conceptual stages that is being proposed adjacent to but not on Bennington Street, and in addition to the HYM work. So one of the pieces of feedback after that meeting was we all needed to make sure we're communicating together. First and foremost, that's my responsibility and is part of what I've been working to do, having coordination meetings between the developer, the state, and various departments within the city, but also working with them to set this meeting on the 16th with City of Boston and City of Revere officials, as well as HYM, to coordinate these various projects so we're all, the left hand knows what the right hand's doing, so to speak.
So, excuse me. So what you're saying is the community meeting that we're having in Beachmont, you're going to have all these departments there? Because that's when HYM's coming to present to the Beachmont community and whoever else wants to come. So is that the meeting that you're talking about? That's a community meeting already set.
So that's a different meeting. This is more of an internal coordination meeting with municipal officials, but that is not to say that I'd be happy to attend the Beachmont meeting and talk about how all these various projects intersect, and along with Mike and his team. And I've got a pretty good handle on where we are with the berm and where things are with Bennington Street and that project, and again, how they all tie together.
And
The meeting I was talking about was the one that Tom was originally talking about. I don't know if there's a name for the meeting, but it's really addressing the Bennington, the proposed changes by Mass DOT.
okay, I'd really like to be invited to that, please.
Yeah, I don't know who sent out the invite.
I can talk to MassDOT about that. This was intended to be a precursor to a public meeting to talk about it, and more just to make sure that the city, state, and Boston folks are all, coordinated on various response items related to that project.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you're going to have a meeting and then you're going to have a community meeting, because a lot of us, especially me, where I'm the ward councilor, I didn't even know that they were doing this project on Bennington Street, that they wanted to narrow it. down. So, I mean, I know they had a public meeting in Boston, but and I know they went to Winthrop, but they haven't come to Revere at all. So I think people should know if they're going to plan on doing something major like this, it's going to affect the community, then, you know, you should have a public meeting for Revere too.
Right, and whether it's MassDOT officials or myself, I'd be happy to attend that meeting, and we'll talk to the state about whether or not they should be there as well. But, you know, I know I have, at least at that first meeting in, November or December, when they came and presented, it was very much a state project. It's something I want to own up to as a City Revere official. I think it's actually important for a lot of the work that Mike's doing and HYM is doing in Suffolk Downs and how it all connects together. And I want to make sure that we all understand as a community how this will incrementally lead to a bigger benefit in terms of building a network of walkability and connectivity in that area. So happy to present there in any future meetings.
And I just want to say thank you to HYM because it was a grueling, you know, the years trying to get, we had one bus stop on one side pulling in, but we didn't have the MBTA on board, and we just got them on board. So I just want to say thank you to HYM for doing that. That was huge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else wish to speak? If you want to. Okay.
I'll come up here from Ralph DeChico, 281 Broadway. One of my hats is from the Commission on Disabilities. I'm kind of surprised that I wasn't brought into any of these talks from the beginning. I noticed that you're talking about safety of pedestrians and things of that nature. You're talking about signalizations, putting in signalizations, new signalizations. I know the city has been on board wanting APS signalizations. They're very costly. And I want to see what your thoughts are putting APS signalizations there, especially when you're saying safety of people walking and crossing. So wanted to hear your thoughts if we are putting APS signalizations in, because it doesn't mention anything anywhere, and that is a very big point that's neglected to be stated in any of these proposals.
So could you maybe make that point clear?
So for the record, every signalized crossing will have APS push buttons and brand-new detectable warning panels.
Beautiful. Thank you. Ma'am.
Hi, Nicole DeVoe, 215 Crescent Ave in Beachmont. I just wanted to talk regarding the Crescent Avenue changes. I am on Crescent Avenue. The pedestrian part of it is great. We've been wanting a safer way for our kids to get to school forever. However, there is no traffic improvement with this design. What you're doing, you're cutting off traffic, and I agree. I go this new way all the time. I don't go to the right because you can never get over. However, what you're doing is blocking off 2 lanes of traffic and putting them in the same problem that's already there. There is no way to get out of that street when there's lots of traffic. There's not even like, I would say maybe if there's a don't block the box there, then maybe that would stop that traffic coming from Beachmont School, where that light is that you say you don't have control over, because that's state, to let that traffic out. Because right now, you got to take your life in your hands. I do it every day. To get left on Bennington, and sometimes to get in that left lane to go toward Beachmont Corner. But the way this is now, you're not improving traffic at all. You're making it worse. And what's going to happen is back up further on Crescent Ave. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
So I appreciate the comments. We can look at the don't block the box and how, just take a look at that and see how it impacts the intersection. I'd also say by preventing the left-hand turn out of Dunkin' Donuts, that also often clogs traffic because you have someone cutting up across that median, which then gets stuck in traffic. So that's one thing we're going to be preventing, which I know has been an issue for a lot of folks in the area, is people cutting out of the Dunkin' Donuts.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Hi, everybody. Julie DeMauro, Department of Planning and Community Development. I think what we should be doing is looking at where the traffic is actually originating on Crescent Ave and how whether it's coming up through Winthrop and cutting through cutting through Crescent Ave, because where Winthrop Ave is a one-way heading back toward the beach. Just some of the traffic data, Tom and I were talking about some of the data that we have from the Walk to School program. We have about 300 kids walking to that school daily. That was as of 2019. Those counts were just taken again, I believe, last fall, because the school is being in the queue for safe routes to school improvements, so I can ask for that information. And we can see how many kids are actually walking and versus how many kids are being driven and where they're coming from. And then we can take a look at where the traffic is really coming from and how it will affect Crescent Ave. I think the idea of the don't block the box is a great one. But in terms of mobility and pedestrian accommodations, especially for the kids and families that are walking in Beachmont to the school, closing off Crescent Ave is going to be ideal. It creates safer connections across that walkway, especially heading to the school. There seems to be a lot of issues there in the mornings with crossing guards. I think right now they have 2 to 3 crossing guards just at that station alone. So I think closing the gap is going to be essential, especially with the number of people moving into the community.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak? Oh, go right ahead.
Hi, Kim Silva, 43 Untitled Ave. So I do agree with Nicole and Joanne. It's more, you are going to have 2 lanes, one going to the right and left, but it is going to go all the way up Crescent. And it's not people coming really from Winthrop. It's people that are dropping off their kids at Beachmont School doing the roundabout and coming out. And I am the one who's driving down Beachmont, Bennington, to go into Boston. I'm that commuter. And on the way home, I'm coming down Winthrop Ave. So I really don't, I think there needs to be something done, because there's so many times cars are coming out and they're heading into Boston, and I'm almost clipping somebody, somebody's almost clipping me. There's a lot of road rage right there. And then the next street is Everard, where the kids go. And there are, I mean, it's a dangerous place, but I don't think that's the issue, because what it's gonna do is gonna block the cars going up to Crescent, and now you're gonna have the bottleneck coming from Crescent all the way down to the 2 lanes. And this, it's a real bad problem at 8, and it's a real bad problem like when I come home from work. So sometimes I don't even come that way, and I go the Winthrop Parkway by the police station. So that gets to my other point about the Winthrop, by the police station. So is that gonna be 2 lanes, 3 lanes, bike lanes? It's gonna be 3 lanes with a bike? No, oh, I Winthrop Ave, no bike lanes? But where would the bike lanes start? Oh, sure, sorry.
So there'll be a 2-way cycle track, protected bike lane along the edge of our property. Our property doesn't go all the way up to the public safety building, but we're gonna do it along the edge of our property. And then there'll be a connection of, in the future, more bike lanes within Suffolk Downs that will, connect around, in and around Suffolk Downs.
Because in Boston, where they put the bike lane down on Boylston, and they make that 2 lane into a 1, and that's a nightmare.
Right, so we're keeping the same number of traffic lanes, in front of the public safety building.
And then the bump out that goes
To Winthrop Avenue, or which?
the.
The,
So the bump out lane going with Beachmont, that's gonna be gone? Okay. And lastly, sorry, everybody.
Just turn the mic.
Oh,
towards
sorry.
you.
There definitely needs to be something for the kids. I mean, I've driven by that place, and the kids are crossing all the way. Where do you plan to have the crosswalk for the kids from the Revere High School over?
So it's north of Bell Circle.
And is that gonna do any
It's right here.
traffic for?
So it-
Oh,
yeah.
by Margarita?
Exactly, yeah. So it'll stop traffic in both directions, and you'll be able to cross the entirety of the street.
Okay,
And it'll be on demand. Whenever they press the button, traffic stops.
okay, perfect. That's all I have for you right now. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Joanne McKenna. I was just wondering, I know it sounds ridiculous, but what about a set of lights across the street from Crescent Ave, so you can get people out of there. You know, people can take a left, they can take a right. What about, so I know you're gonna have a set of lights, and a set of lights. But the set of lights in front on Everard they're always green unless a pedestrian hits them. So all these cars, we have 11,000 cars a day going through Beachmont. 11,000, maybe, I think it's a little bit more than that, but it's 11,000 a day, okay? And at the height of it, it's 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, and 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. A lot of people come through that way because they can't get up Route 1 because it's clogged. So everybody comes through Beachmont. If you could put if you could stop the lights there so people could get out of Beachmont, that would be great. I don't know who said the box? Oh, that's a good idea, but how many people obey that? I was just in California and they have the box and people were right on the box, you know what I'm saying? So maybe a set of lights, so people can take a right and a left and it will clear Crescent Ave? I don't know. Can you think about that? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Are we all, okay, no, go right ahead.
Just one more thing regarding Crescent Avenue. I always preferred to have a light there. We've been talking about that at the Beachmont Improvement Committee for years. We've been asking about that certain location. But, barring that, if that's not a possibility, second choice would be a don't block the box, because I know getting lights there would probably be more involved. So, secondly, I don't know, I know we had talked about Harris Street, and that's being sort of forwarded to another meeting because people weren't informed.
Exactly.
And as far as all the other items on here, is that being voted on tonight of some sort? Because my concern is we're presenting this to our community next month at this May meeting. So having HYM come with things that are already voted on and presenting it to the community for the first time, I don't think is going to go well. And that's my concern there. So I just didn't know what was going to be happening tonight, or if we were just talking about it and it was being forwarded through again. Thank
Yes,
you.
the three items that were presented tonight, if the Traffic Commission is willing, there would be a vote tonight, yes.
Okay, so there's a concern that these people around Harris Street weren't informed about tonight.
There won't be a vote on Harris Street.
Right.
That particular item will be
Right,
moved to next.
because people weren't informed about it.
Right.
So what I'm saying is the community around Beachmont really didn't know about this meeting. We knew about it about 24 hours ago.
Okay.
And they're not informed a lot about what these changes might be, and they're not going to have any input on it before they present it next month. So I do have a concern there. Thank you.
So is this the first time this?
So the Suffolk Downs project has been before the city of Revere, starting in 2017. We went through a pretty detailed design advisory group process, 18-month permitting process, at which point all of these intersections were discussed and reviewed. We've been working with the city of Revere planning staff since 2019 or earlier on these intersections. So these aren't new proposals. These are all included in our state filings. They're included in our Revere special permit filings, PUD filings. Again, these are from 2017, 2018. So, we think these improvements have been well thought through and have been approved through our master plan permitting process. Conceptually, these changes. Now we're just talking about the final details of the design of these intersections.
Okay, thank you. I have, there's a resident that couldn't make the meeting tonight and wished to have his statement read into the record. This is Mr. Ed DeVoe. There's a piece here that concerns Harris Street. I won't read that because we're not considering that tonight. But the letter reads as follows. Tom, thank you so much for your meeting with us and all the subsequent follow-up. As others have noted, it is very much appreciated. I am not able to make the Traffic Commission meeting tonight because I have to work. I did review the 3/16 Traffic Commission meeting and have some notes, proposals, suggestions, etc. Regarding HYM/Winthrop Avenue interchange. his first bullet point, there should be no right-hand turn out of the HYM site to Donley Square. Most people using this turn go toward Donley Square to Bennington Street and head south to Boston. As has often been stated, we need to direct regional traffic to regional roads. A left turn only at this location will move traffic to the Revere Beach Parkway west and then to Route 1A south, use of regional roads for regional traffic. The right-hand turn proposed will only add more traffic coming through Donley Square. In my mind, this runs counter to all the other designs proposals on the table for the Revere Beach Connector and the Bennington Street improvements proposed by DOT. Number two, rather than using the right turn from this point, traffic exiting the HYM development going to Boston should be directed toward Tomasello Drive. His third point, everything should be done to move traffic out of the HYM development site to the Winthrop Parkway and to the Route 1A. As I have noted in our conversations, I have asked from the beginning to have the Route 1A interchange developed as part of the first phase of the project so that local traffic is less impacted. Until we get a better collaboration with the state agencies involved, local traffic will be adversely impacted immediately. And the big question is for how long? He has two questions for HYM. One, how much traffic flows east on Winthrop Ave currently past the proposed site of the Winthrop Avenue interchange? And number two, how much traffic will flow east after the interchange? If their answer to number two is more traffic, I would say that a bad situation is being made worse, and no right-hand turn should be allowed. Okay, thank you.
Can we address those items from Mr. DeVoe?
Sure, positively.
I'll start off on just, I think he had a comment on the future improvements on Route 1A. So we are planning on, it's part of our plans, it always has been, to make improvements to Route 1A, doing a full reconstruction of Route 1A, from Boardman Street all the way through, Railroad Street, which we're doing now as an early action item. So those improvements will be done at about 3 million square feet, which is our next major phase of redevelopment. So that's always been planned, and that, that timing has come through a process that we went through with MassDOT, City of Revere, and City of Boston, because much of Route 1A is also in Boston. But we are, as early action items, we're making the merge lane change to Railroad Street to make it more safe. And we're also actually doing a temporary left-hand turn lane heading south on Route 1A to Tomasello, that's more on Boston side, but I'm just referencing it here so people know. So that's just the answer on that one item, but I'll turn it over to Ian for the others.
So thank you for the question about the traffic volume. So the right turn out of the new Suffolk Downs Boulevard driveway is expected to be 5 vehicles in the morning, so one vehicle every 12 minutes, and then in the afternoon, it's supposed to be 15 vehicles, so one vehicle every 4 minutes. And so this joins the existing traffic that's heading eastbound on Winthrop Avenue. Today, that number is about 500. I'll get you the exact number here in a sec. 495 vehicles today head east, heading into Donnelly Square, so adding 5. So a very small percentage. And then in the afternoon, there's 550 vehicles going east, and we're adding 15.
15,
So
okay.
a very negligible amount, not even noticeable from our perspective.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to comment before? Okay. Fine. Okay.
Yeah. Is that going to be?
Could this conversation happen after the meeting?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but.
I'm just going to take the whole half
Okay, that's, all right, thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you. Just one more question.
okay.
On Furlong Drive, to get the cars out from Suffolk Downs, are you going to put a light there so they can take a left to go to the tunnel? Furlong? You're not going to do that?
No,
Okay, so are the people going to be able to get out of Furlong Drive and take a left to go to?
That's a MassDOT road.
Oh. Oh, that's, I mean, so all these roadways are in Revere. There's no roadways in East Boston except for Furlong Drive. All the cars are going to empty out into Revere. I know when we were at
Tom, in a few, we're doing a major reconstruction of 1A, and then Suffolk Downs will be able to take the whole left-hand turn to be able to go south from Thomasville.
So it would be a left. So, okay, but this, so when we were at the stake. Oh, sure, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm hogging the.
That's okay. So great question, thank you. So for the major reconstruction of Route 1A, which we're doing before we construct 3 million square feet, there'll be a double left-hand turn from our site, Tomasello Drive, Tomasello Way, taking a left onto Route 1A. So that will be implemented at that point.
okay. So, we're getting kind of off topic here, so.
This is concerning traffic in Beachmont and Revere.
Right.
Just to get the traffic out of here. But when we were at the stakeholders meetings for 18 months, that was suggested, and I thought it was a done deal. And that would have made a lot of sense if you came out of Furlong Drive, that people don't have to come out of the Revere streets. They come out of Furlong Drive, and if they're going to Boston, they take a left. There was supposed to be a light there. I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah.
But that was in the stakeholders meeting. We sat there for 18 months and heard that there was going to be a light there, so it would take the pressure off of Revere. And then all of a sudden, it's gone now.
Okay, just, if you could just wrap up.
Yeah, I'll
Quickly,
make
so,
this really
because we
quick.
want to stick to these 3 items,
Yeah,
because that's
so-
what's before us.
So just to respond to this, so Furlong Drive sits at the very bottom of a large incline. From a geometric perspective, you can't put a light there without reconstructing that entire interchange. Today, vehicles can take a right out of Furlong, and you can loop underneath the interchange and head southbound again, back
Okay.
onto the on-ramp, that we are improving, and so there is some substantial improvements there that will make it much easier to leave out of Furlong.
Thank you. Do any members of the Traffic Commission want to make a comment on any of these 3 proposals that are before us? Guys?
Obviously, I'm very pleased with the improvements I see coming out of the public safety facility. That's been very difficult to maneuver in and out of there the past 12 years, so we're really looking forward to those improvements. Thank you.
The biggest concern from the beginning has been the Crescent Ave connection to Bennington Street. We noted that early on, that this was a problem area, pedestrian safety-wise and traffic-wise. So we asked HYM to take a look at this, and they did, and they came up with what is considered the safest plan for pedestrian safety as well as traffic safety. Ian, I'm not sure if a warrant analysis was done at that intersection, or if it even would qualify for a signal at Crescent Ave and Bennington Street. Yeah, but I would suggest you take a look at that. That would just help the situation a little bit more and add more safety. The bus stops, that's something we asked very early to have those moved and have pull-out lanes. That's been designed and put forward to the MBTA, so that's a very positive benefit to Winthrop Avenue. The other concern was the right-hand turn lane from Suffolk Downs Drive into Beachmont Square. We were concerned with that. after hearing the numbers presented this evening, it's negligent, and it's going to have no impact on Winthrop Ave traffic. So that's very good news to hear. The point that Joanne brought up regarding exiting off of Furlong, people who want to head south to Boston will go to Tomasello because it'll be signalized. Only people will be using Furlong who want to head north on 1A. And they still do have an option to loop around the ramp and come back southbound. So I think every proposed improvement that was presented this evening has successfully met our expectations and what we expected to have come out of this. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. So do I hear a motion to accept these changes?
I'll
All
make a
three?
motion to accept them with a condition that Howard Stein Hudson do a warrant analysis for a signal at Crescent Avenue and Bennington Street.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you very much. I believe that's it for the meeting. We will reconvene in May, and we will bring up the Harris Street interchange at that point. Thank you very much, everyone. Meeting adjourned.